From women golfers getting banned for wearing too spicy outfits, to scandalous final round drama, these are the 15 most heated golf majors of the last decade. And first we start with number 15. Imagine this, two players at the absolute peak of their games locked in an epic battle, trading blow after blow in one of the most electrifying final rounds you'll ever see. That was the scene at Royal Troon in 2016, when Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson gave us a duel so incredible. Some say it even eclipsed the famous duel in the sun between Tom Watson and Jack Nicklaus. Here's what makes this story so unforgettable. Phil Mickelson wasn't just good, he was otherworldly. The guy shot a bogey-free 65 in the final round. For context, in nearly every other Open in history, that would have been enough to walk away with the claret jug. But Henrik Stenson had other ideas. The Swede, searching for his first major championship, played like a man possessed. Starting the day with a slim one-shot lead, Stenson knew he'd need something special to keep lefty at bay. And special doesn't even begin to describe what happened next. Birdies poured in from both players as the pair went toe-to-toe, matching each other shot for shot. By the back nine, the tension was palpable. Then came the moment that changed everything. On the 15th hole, Stenson stared down a 51-foot birdie putt. For most players, this is the definition of a lag putt. Just cozy it up close, take your par, and move on. But not Stenson. He drained it, dead center. Ouch, that must have hurt for Phil. Stenson closed with a jaw-dropping 63, the joint lowest final round in major history, to finish at 20 under par and become the first Swedish man to win a major. Oh, and Mickelson? He finished 11 shots clear of third place. The guy did everything right, except beat Henrik Stenson on that magical Sunday. Coming in at number 14, we're at Congressional Country Club in 2011, where a young Rory McIlroy turned heartbreak into history. Less than 2 months after his crushing final round collapse at the Masters, the question wasn't just whether Rory could win, it was whether he could even recover. Let me take you back to April 2011. Rory McIlroy had Augusta National in the palm of his hand. He carried a 4-shot lead into the final round of the Masters, only to crumble under the pressure and card an 80. His meltdown on the back nine, complete with a wayward drive that ended up between cabins, was the stuff of nightmares. Many wondered if the 22-year-old phenom could recover from such a public heartbreak. The answer? Let's just say he handled it. From the very first hole, he was fearless. An opening round 65 set the tone, and by Friday, he had surged to a 6-shot lead, breaking records as he went. He became the first player in US Open history to reach 13 under by the halfway mark. Even a weather delay on Friday couldn't rattle him. He came back after the break and drained a 6-foot putt for birdie like it was nothing. And the weekend? It was pure domination. By Saturday night, McIlroy had widened his lead to 8 shots, effectively ending the tournament before the final round even began. But Rory wasn't done making history. Along the way, he shattered 11 US Open records, and on Sunday he walked the fairways with a calm, finishing at 16 under par, breaking Tiger Woods' previous US Open scoring record by 4 strokes. Here we are at number 13, and this one takes us to Royal Lytham and St. Anne's, where the 2012 Open Championship delivered heartbreak for one player and redemption for another. It was a tale of two ends of the emotional spectrum, a brutal collapse and an unexpected triumph. Adam Scott looked unstoppable. With 4 holes to play, he held a commanding 4-shot lead and seemed destined to finally shed the title of best player never to win a major. The claret jug was practically within his grasp. But golf is rarely that simple, especially on the closing stretch of an Open Championship. Then, the unthinkable began. Bogey on 15. No problem, right? Still 3 ahead. Bogey on 16. Okay, nerves are showing, but he's still in control. Another bogey on 17. Uh-oh. Suddenly, the lead was down to just 1 as he stepped onto the 18th tee, and you could almost feel the weight of the moment crushing him. While Scott unraveled, Ernie Els was playing like a man with nothing to lose. The Big Easy, a major champion already 3 times over, drained a clutch birdie putt on the 18th green to post a score of 7 under, putting the pressure squarely on Scott's shoulders. All Scott needed was a par on the final hole to force a playoff, but his approach shot found the greenside bunker, and when his par putt slid past the hole, it was all over. Els, watching from the scorer's tent, could hardly believe it. His good friend's heartbreak had become his victory. For Els, it was his fourth and final major, capping a legendary career. For Scott, it was devastation, a collapse that would haunt him for years to come. Coming in at number 12, it's a moment that left the entire sports world completely speechless. Imagine being written off by almost everyone. Your career seemingly over, your body broken, and your personal life in shambles. No one believes you'll ever compete at the highest level again. Then, against all odds, you step back onto golf's biggest stage and pull off the most unbelievable comeback in sports history. That's exactly what Tiger Woods did at the 2019 Masters. Let's set the scene. Tiger Woods, once untouchable, had faced an unimaginable fall from grace. 4 back surgeries, personal scandals, a DUI arrest in 2017. Many thought his career was over. But at Augusta National, the place where his legacy began, Tiger reminded the world why he's one of the greatest. The final round was pure drama. As the back nine unfolded, it was anyone's game. Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, and Xander Schauffele all made strong charges. But Woods, with his signature calm under pressure, navigated the chaos with a steady hand. By the time he tapped in for par on the 18th, he had secured a one-shot victory and his 15th major title. And then came the moment no one will ever forget. The embrace with his mother, the hug with his 2 kids who had never seen their dad win a major. It was impossible not to think back to 1997 when a 21-year-old Tiger celebrated his first Masters win with his late father. This wasn't just a win, it was a full-circle moment, 22 years in the making. Next up, at number 11, and for this one we head to the 2010 US Open at Pebble Beach, where one of golf's most iconic venues witnessed an unforgettable collapse and a career-defining victory. This wasn't just a major, it was the start of a new era for Northern Irish golf. The stage was set for Dustin Johnson, the 54-hole leader, to claim his first major title. He started Sunday with a 3-shot lead and all the momentum. But Pebble Beach is no ordinary course, and the final round is no ordinary test. Johnson's game unraveled in brutal fashion. A triple bogey on the second hole and a double bogey on the third sent his hopes spiraling. By the time the round was over, he had carded an 82, one of the most shocking final round collapses in US Open history. But Johnson's downfall was just the opening act. What followed was a high-stakes chase, with McDowell fighting to keep the lead as a pack of golfing legends bore down on him. Behind him, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Ernie Els, all major champions, were circling like sharks, sensing blood in the water. Woods unleashed a blistering stretch of birdies on the front 9, while Mickelson and Els stayed close behind. It felt like only a matter of time before one of them snatched the trophy away. Meanwhile, McDowell, paired with Gregory Havret, remained steadfast. He wasn't flashy, but he was unshakable, grinding out pars on Pebble's brutal back 9. Havret, the unheralded Frenchman, kept pace and had a chance to tie on the 18th hole. But when his birdie attempt slid past the cup, McDowell had a glimmer of daylight. And with a steady 74 final round, Graham McDowell proved that sometimes you don't need flashy. You just need to survive. Coming in at number 10, we're at Royal Birkdale for the 2017 Open Championship, where Jordan Spieth turned what looked like certain defeat into one of the most dramatic finishes in major history. It may have been a wire-to-wire win on paper, but the drama that unfolded on Sunday made it feel more like a Hollywood blockbuster. Spieth came into the final round with a 3-shot lead, but by the time he stepped onto the 13th tee, it was slipping away. After playing the first 12 holes in 3 over par, Spieth's lead had evaporated, and then disaster struck. His tee shot on 13 veered wildly right, soaring over the dunes and settling in an unplayable lie. What happened next became one of the most talked about moments in Open history. After 20 agonizing minutes of deliberation, Spieth pulled off a move that would change everything. He took a penalty drop far back in line with the pin, placing his ball near the tour trucks and onto the driving range, a spot some argued should have been out of bounds. Criticism followed, but Spieth didn't care. From that unlikely spot, he salvaged a miraculous bogey, trailing Matt Kuchar by 1 as they headed to the par 3 14th. Then came the magic. Spieth nearly aced the 14th, tapping in for birdie to tie Kuchar. On the 15th, he drained an electrifying 35-foot eagle putt, reclaiming the lead. He wasn't done yet. Birdies on 16 and 17 extended his advantage, and a composed par on 18 sealed a 3-stroke victory. With his third major title, Spieth joined Jack Nicklaus as the only players to win 3 different majors before turning 24. Next up, number 9. We're at Whistling Straits for the 2010 PGA Championship. A Sunday filled with absolute drama, devastating heartbreak, and a finish no one saw coming. But before we move on, I want to share something personal. I'm working my ass off to bring you the best golf content, and I'm trying to reach 20,000 subscribers before my birthday in March. So if you're enjoying this, please show some love and subscribe to the channel. Alright, let's move on. So, here's what happened. All eyes were on Dustin Johnson as he seemed destined to finally capture his first major title. Birdies on the back 9, including a clutch one at 17, gave him a one-shot lead heading to the 18th. All he needed was a par. His tee shot drifted right, settling in a sandy patch that barely looked like a bunker. Crowds had trampled it all week. Unfazed, Johnson approached his ball and made his swing, eventually missing a 6-footer that would have sealed his victory. No worries, right? A tap-in bogey meant he was heading to a playoff, or so he thought. As Johnson walked off the green, tournament officials approached him. That sandy patch? It wasn't just dirt. It was officially deemed a bunker, and Johnson had grounded his club, a clear rules violation. The penalty was brutal, 2 strokes dropping him out of the playoff and into a tie for 5th. His expression said it all: disbelief, devastation, and the cruel reality of golf's fine print. With Johnson eliminated, Martin Kaymer and Bubba Watson faced off in a 3-hole playoff. Watson struck first with a birdie, but Kaymer responded with ice in his veins, draining a clutch putt on the 17th to pull even. At the 18th, Watson's aggressive play backfired with a double bogey, leaving Kaymer to calmly secure his first major with a bogey of his own. It was a triumph for Kaymer, but let's be honest, the 2010 PGA Championship will always be remembered as the one where Dustin Johnson learned the hard way to read the rule sheet. You're halfway at number 8. Imagine this. You're standing on the 18th green at Augusta National, a light rain falling, the green jacket within reach. You line up a 25-foot birdie putt, the kind you dream about as a kid, knowing it's your chance to make history. That's exactly where Adam Scott found himself at the 2013 Masters. But what happened next? It took a turn no one expected. Scott was chasing more than a win. Australia had never seen one of its own claim the Masters, and after years of heartbreak, including Scott's own collapse at the 2012 Open, this moment was about redemption. As the ball dropped into the cup, Scott threw his arms in the air and let out a roar of, "Come on, Aussie!" The crowd erupted. It felt like the perfect ending. But then came Angel Cabrera. The 2009 Masters champion, nicknamed El Pato, wasn't done yet. Calm and composed, Cabrera landed a brilliant approach shot on the 18th, setting up a clutch birdie to force a playoff. The rain picked up, the tension thickened, and suddenly the green jacket was still up for grabs. The playoff began back on the 18th. Both players made pars, refusing to give an inch. Then it was on to the 10th hole, one of Augusta's most iconic and treacherous. Both drives found the fairway, but Scott's approach shot was the difference, landing just 15 feet from the hole. Cabrera left himself a tougher putt, missing his chance for birdie. Now it was Scott's moment. The gallery fell silent as he stood over his putt, the weight of a nation on his shoulders once again. With a smooth stroke, he sent the ball rolling and into the center of the cup. History was made. Sliding into number 7. It's Sunday evening at Valhalla and the light is fading fast. The clock is ticking, the tension is mounting, and Rory McIlroy is trying to pull off something extraordinary. He's chasing his 3rd consecutive win in as many starts, fresh off victories at the Open and the WGC Bridgestone. But as the back 9 begins, he's 2 shots back with the best in the game ahead of him. Phil Mickelson, Ricky Fowler, Henrik Stenson. All of them had their sights set on the Wanamaker Trophy, and for a moment, it looked like Rory might not have enough. But then came the 10th hole, a par 5 that would change everything. McIlroy unleashed a monstrous drive, followed it with a fearless second shot, and sank the eagle putt that brought him roaring back into contention. From there, the momentum was undeniable. A birdie at the 13th put him into a tie, and as the final holes loomed, Valhalla turned into a shootout. Mickelson pushed hard, delivering clutch shots to stay within reach, but Rory wasn't backing down. When he rolled in a critical birdie at 17, he took a one-shot lead heading to the final hole. But here's where things got wild. The darkness was closing in so quickly that the final groups played almost side by side, desperately racing to finish before they were swallowed by the night. McIlroy stayed steady, finding the fairway and playing it safe to secure his par on 18. It was just enough to hold off Mickelson and clinch the win by a single shot. In the end, Rory McIlroy didn't just win his fourth major, he cemented himself as the undisputed king of the summer, counting down to number 6. So, imagine this. You've spent nearly 2 decades chasing a dream, only to fall short every time. You've been labeled the best golfer never to win a major, a title no one wants. Now, it's Sunday at Augusta, and you're tied at the top. The green jacket is within reach. But with every hole, the pressure builds, and history is not on your side. That was the 2017 Masters. Here's where things got wild. By the time Garcia and his playing partner Justin Rose reached the back 9, it was clear this was no ordinary final round. Rose surged ahead, taking a 2-shot lead after Garcia's drive on 13 veered left into the trees. It looked like another heartbreak for the Spaniard, but Garcia wasn't done yet. He scrambled for a gutsy par, while Rose shockingly missed a short putt. And that moment changed everything. On 14, Garcia sank a birdie that felt like a lifeline, pulling himself back from the brink. But it was the par 5 15th where Augusta came alive. With the pressure mounting and the tournament slipping away, Garcia delivered a thunderous eagle that seemed to shake the very foundations of the course. Suddenly, the match was tied. But then, Rose fired back with a birdie on 16 to edge ahead once more. But Augusta's back 9 has a way of testing even the steadiest nerves. At 17, Rose cracked, carding a bogey that erased his lead. The tension was unbearable, as both players parred 18 to force a playoff. Back to the 18th tee they went, and this time, Rose blinked. His tee shot found the trees, leaving the door wide open for Garcia. One precise approach shot and a clutch birdie putt later, Sergio Garcia was finally a major champion, after 74 attempts. Yes, you've reached our top 5, and we're at Carnoustie for the 2018 Open Championship, a tournament that had everything you could ask for: scorching conditions, a star-studded leaderboard, and one of the most unshakable performances in major championship history. The story of the week was Tiger Woods. After years of injuries and personal struggles, Woods wasn't just competing, he was contending. By the time the final round reached the back 9, the unthinkable was happening. Tiger was leading a major championship for the first time in years. It felt like the fairy tale everyone had been waiting for. But Carnoustie isn't kind to fairy tales. On the 11th, Woods' tee shot ended in disaster, a double bogey. Another dropped shot on the 12th slammed the door shut on his hopes. While Tiger faltered, others smelled opportunity. Rory McIlroy surged with an eagle on the 14th. Justin Rose clawed his way into contention. And a trio of Americans, Jordan Spieth, Xander Schauffele, and Kevin Kisner, fought to keep their place atop the leaderboard after 54 strong holes. But it was Francesco Molinari who stole the show. Paired with Woods, the Italian remained unshakable, carving up Carnoustie with surgical precision. While chaos unfolded around him, Molinari didn't make a single mistake. Not one bogey all weekend. A crucial birdie on the 14th gave him the edge, and pars on Carnoustie's brutal closing stretch secured a 2-stroke victory. Molinari's win was historic. He became the first Italian to claim a major championship. Number 4 takes us to Royal Portrush, where the 2019 Open Championship delivered a story like no other. For the first time in 68 years, the Open returned to Northern Ireland, and the pressure was immense. Friday delivered one of the most emotional moments of the tournament. Rory McIlroy, Northern Ireland's golden boy, stepped onto the course carrying the weight of a nation's expectations. But golf is cruel, and his first round 79 all but crushed his chances. Then came Friday's redemption arc. McIlroy played out of his mind, carding a brilliant 65, and for a moment, it looked like the impossible comeback was on. But when he walked off the 18th green, he was one shot shy of making the cut. Tears welled up as Rory broke down in front of his home fans. While Rory's story ended in heartbreak, Shane Lowry's was just beginning. Saturday turned into the Shane Lowry show. With Portrush's crowds roaring him on, Lowry played one of the best rounds of his career. A sensational 63 that set a new course record. But if you think this was a done deal, you don't know the Open. Sunday brought brutal weather, whipping winds, torrential rain, and a course that tested every ounce of a golfer's nerve. Lowry's lead looked fragile as the conditions wreaked havoc on the field. Tommy Fleetwood gave chase, and the pressure mounted as the elements turned Portrush into a battlefield. By the time they reached the 18th green, it was all but over. With Irish flags waving and cheers echoing, Lowry tapped in to seal a 6-shot win. Coming in at number 3, and we're at the 2016 Masters. So, you're 22 years old, defending your Masters title, and you've just birdied 4 consecutive holes to close out the front 9. A 5-shot lead with 9 to play, victory seems all but assured. But in golf, nothing is certain until the final putt drops. Jordan Spieth stood on the 10th tee at Augusta National, seemingly cruising toward back-to-back green jackets. The patrons were already buzzing with anticipation, ready to witness history. But then, the absolute unthinkable happened. A bogey on the 10th, another on the 11th. The lead was shrinking, but Spieth still held a cushion. Then came the par 3 12th hole, Golden Bell, a hole that has dashed many dreams. Spieth's tee shot found Rays Creek. A mishit wedge followed, plunging into the water again. By the time he holed out, a quadruple bogey 7 was on the card. In less than an hour, his 5-shot lead had evaporated into a 3-shot deficit. Enter Danny Willett, who had been playing solid, bogey-free golf ahead of Spieth. Sensing an opportunity, Willett birdied the 15th to seize the lead. His playing partner, Lee Westwood, briefly applied pressure with an eagle on the same hole, pulling within 1. But Westwood faltered with a bogey on 16, while Willett remained composed, sinking a crucial birdie on 16 and executing a brilliant up and down on 17. A par on the 18th sealed the deal. Willett's final round 67 was flawless, making him the first Englishman to win the Masters since Nick Faldo in 1996. But the 2016 Masters will forever be remembered for Spieth's sudden and shocking collapse. Now at number 2, imagine this. You're 21 years old, leading the Masters by 4 strokes after 54 holes. The entire golf world is watching, convinced they're witnessing the birth of a legend. But by the end of Sunday, that dream doesn't just slip away, it implodes in a way no one saw coming. The warning signs were subtle at first. A few nervy swings on the front 9, but nothing catastrophic. Then came the 10th hole, where everything unraveled. McIlroy's tee shot wasn't just wayward, it was shockingly off target. Veering so far left, it ended up near Augusta's iconic cabins. From there, the damage spiraled out of control. A triple bogey at 10, a double bogey at 12 after 4-putting. By the time he walked off the 13th green, McIlroy's once commanding lead had evaporated, leaving him on the wrong side of a historic meltdown. With McIlroy out of the picture, the tournament seemed destined to crown an Australian champion for the first time. Jason Day and Adam Scott battled fiercely, trading birdies and pars as the back 9 unfolded. But Augusta had other plans. Enter Charles Schwartzel, the South African who had quietly hung around all week. His final round had started with fireworks, a chip-in birdie on the 1st and a stunning wedge shot for eagle on the 3rd. But by the 15th hole, he was still behind. That's when Schwartzel delivered one of the greatest closing stretches in Masters history. 4 holes, 4 birdies, 1 green jacket. Schwartzel's putter caught fire, sinking clutch birdies on 15, 16, 17, and 18 to storm past the field and claim a 2-stroke victory. As the roars of Augusta echoed through the pines, Schwartzel walked off the 18th green as the first South African to win the Masters since Gary Player. This was Augusta at its finest. Brutal for some, and magical for others. And finally, on number 1, think you've seen bold golf before? Let me tell you about Phil Mickelson's Sunday at the 2010 Masters. He's 1 shot back, playing in the final group, with a chance to win his 3rd green jacket. Then comes the moment where he took a gamble so daring, it changed everything. Let's set the stage. Lee Westwood entered Sunday as the 54-hole leader, 1 shot ahead of Mickelson. This was one of Westwood's best chances to finally claim a major, but holding off a surging lefty at Augusta? That's easier said than done. Mickelson was in the zone, and from the very first hole, you could feel something special brewing. Then came the moment that defined the tournament, and arguably Mickelson's career. On the par 5 13th, Phil found himself in a precarious spot. His tee shot landed behind a tree, with only the narrowest of gaps to the green. Most players would have laid up, but not Mickelson. Gripping a 6-iron, he decided to go for it. The gallery held its breath as he swung, and the ball soared perfectly through the gap, landing just feet from the pin. It was the kind of shot only Mickelson would dare to attempt, and it cemented his reputation as golf's ultimate risk-taker. That fearless approach set the stage for a flawless back nine. Mickelson played bogey-free on Sunday, carding a 5-under 67 to pull away from Westwood and claim a 3-shot victory. But what happened next made this win even more special. As Phil walked up the 18th green, his win all but secured, the emotion of the moment hit him. Waiting for him was his wife, Amy, who had been battling breast cancer over the past year. Their embrace on the green wasn't just a celebration of a victory. It was a testament to resilience, love, and the power of family. Oh, and since you're here, whatever you do, don't click on this next video. Seriously, it's probably not for you.